Some of the smartest kitchen ideas are not new. Many of them filled the homes you grew up in, then quietly vanished, traded for a look that works against you the moment you start cooking. The ones that kept a kitchen calmer, cleaner, and easier are now finding their way back. Stay with me right to the end and subscribe would mean a lot. Feature 1. The Draining Board Sink. The sink with a built-in draining board was once the hardest working spot in the kitchen, its grooved board sending every drop of water back where it belonged. Then the dishwasher took over and counters were pared back to look seamless, so that board was quietly dropped. But it never handles everything. Pots, sharp knives, and wine glasses still get washed by hand. Now a plastic rack lives on the counter for good, holding a damp, leaning pile of dishes. A ring of water spreads beneath it and creeps toward the wall, and a sticky film builds along its base that never quite wipes away. Every time you need that space, you lift the dripping rack, wipe the puddle, and set it back down. Bring the draining board back, and the water finds its way home. You rinse a plate, stand it on the grooves, and it drains straight into the basin. No puddle, no plastic rack. The counter stays dry and clear, and the corner finally takes care of itself. A house hunter notices a sink like this, not as something dated, but as quality, durability, and a kitchen built by someone who understood real life. Replacing your sink, a single-piece model with an integrated drain board, pays you back at every wash. Or a sink-mounted tray that drains into the basin gives the same dry counter. Feature 2. The Walk-in Pantry. Few rooms ever worked as quietly hard as the walk-in pantry, carrying the whole weight of a working kitchen behind one door. It was among the first things to vanish once homes were built smaller and cabinets were trimmed down to look minimal. But the food and the bags spilled out into the open. Now you carry in a week of groceries and there is nowhere to put them. Cans line the counter. Boxes crowd the corner by the toaster. Every flat surface becomes temporary storage. By evening, the counter you cleared that morning is buried again. Behind one pantry door, all of it disappears. You step in, the shelves rise around you, and the clutter that lived on the counter now lives in the cool and the dark. The kitchen breathes. Cooking begins on an empty surface instead of a fight for space. Real estate agents will tell you a true pantry sells a kitchen. What it signals is calm, capacity, and a space that will never feel cramped. With floor space to spare, a small walk-in pantry under 5 feet deep changes everything. Without it, a tall cabinet of deep pull-out shelves gives you the same relief. Feature 3. Deep drawers instead of low shelves. Deep base drawers were standard in older kitchens for one simple reason. They brought everything out to you, instead of making you go in after it. Much of that likely came down to cost. Since a low cupboard with one fixed shelf is cheaper to build than a bank of deep drawers. But everything heavy lives down low, and a fixed shelf hides half of it in the dark at the back. Every time you need the big pot, you kneel on the hard floor, brace a hand on the frame, and reach blindly into the back. Your knees protest, your back tightens as you stand. The heaviest things sit exactly where they are hardest to lift, and the part of cooking you once enjoyed slowly turns into the part you dread. Swap in a deep drawer and the struggle ends. You pull the handle and the whole shelf glides out to meet you. Every pot stands in plain sight. You lift straight up instead of bending and twisting, and you stay on your feet the whole time. Resale value quietly favors a kitchen built this way. It feels like comfort, ease, and a room you can still use happily for decades. In a renovation, deep base drawers are the single change you will feel every day. If that is too much, pull out trays inside your cupboards, bring the back forward to you. Feature 4. The built-in breakfast nook. Of every corner in an older home, the built-in breakfast nook was the warmest, pulling the whole family into one small, friendly space. Open-plan living pushed it out, on the promise that a big island with stools would feel more social. But stools push people apart, with nowhere soft to settle. Breakfast ends up happening standing up, or perched on a hard stool nobody wants to stay on. Everyone eats and drifts off. The coffee goes cold at the edge of the island. There is no warm corner to sink into, no spot where conversation lingers past the meal. Restore the nook, and the corner comes back to life. The cushions give a little under you, and the morning light pools on the table. The family lingers. The grandchildren stay at the table, and a quick breakfast turns into 20 minutes of talk. And under the seat, a hidden compartment swallows the things a kitchen never has room for. To anyone who steps inside, a nook is never wasted square footage. It is warmth, togetherness, and a kitchen that feels truly lived in. Have a corner to give it, and a simple L-shaped bench with a round table fills it perfectly. Tight on room, a single bench along one wall with 2 chairs still creates that settled feeling. Feature 5. The broom closet. Older homes never went without a broom closet. That tall, narrow cupboard gave the brooms, the mop, the vacuum, and the cleaning supplies one honest home. As floor plans tightened, the narrow closet became an easy thing to leave out on the assumption that the space under the sink would do instead. But that cabinet is already full of pipes, and everything crammed in there leans, tips, and spills. So the bleach and the sprays huddle in a damp puddle around the plumbing. The shelf beneath swells and stains from years of drips. The vacuum lives in a corner in plain view, the clutter you most want hidden standing where everyone can see it. Give those tools one honest cupboard, and all of it vanishes. The vacuum stands upright behind a closed door. The broom and mop hang from hooks instead of falling over. The bottles sit on a dry shelf away from the food. The kitchen looks finished the moment company arrives. Open that door for a visitor, and what shows is order, never clutter. Cleanliness, good sense, and a kitchen that thinks of everything. A spare run of wall just over 1 foot wide holds it all. No spare wall, and the end of a cabinet run makes a fine vertical broom cupboard. Like the video if any of these would change how your kitchen feels. Feature 6. The pull-out cutting board. Anyone who grew up with a pull-out cutting board never quite forgets it. It slid out from above a drawer to give you instant counter space. Simplifying counters into one clean run left this little board behind to save on the cabinet build. But counter space disappears fast the moment you start cooking, and there is never quite enough of it. Before long, the bowls and the bags and the chopping pile up until they crowd each other off the edge. You slide the cutting board across crumbs and spills, chasing a clear patch that keeps shrinking. The whole job feels cramped and rushed from start to finish. Pull the board open, and a fresh, clean surface appears at the perfect height. You chop on it, sweep the scraps straight into the bin below, wipe it down, and slide it away. The counter stays clear because the work happened somewhere it could disappear. In the smallest kitchen, it doubles your space without taking an inch. The next owner will read this as anything but a quaint detail, but as smart, flexible, and a kitchen that makes the most of every corner. Renovating, a pull-out board above a drawer near the sink earns its keep every day. Otherwise, an under-counter board on a track adds the same surface. Feature 7. The baking cabinet. The built-in baking cabinet was the pride of many older kitchens, holding a flour bin, a bread drawer with a tin-lined lid, and a pull-out work surface in one place. A stripped-down look scattered the whole station into identical drawers across the room. But baking needs many small things at once, turning every batch into a treasure hunt. The flour ends up in one cupboard, the bowls in another, the rolling pin in a drawer across the kitchen. You gather it all, and the ingredients sprawl across the counter as you go. By the time the dough is ready, white dust coats the whole room. Pull it all back into one cabinet, and the chaos settles. The flour waits in its bin. The bread stays soft behind its tin-lined lid. The work surface slides out at the perfect height. You bake in one calm corner instead of taking over the kitchen. Few features say thoughtful design the way this one does. To the people walking through, it reads as a kitchen built around real life. Bake often, and one tall cabinet with a pull-out board and a sealed flour bin recreates the heart of it. A bread drawer with a snug lid keeps a loaf fresh. Feature 8. The Butler's Pantry. Between the kitchen and the dining room, the butler's pantry was the calm, hidden helper of the house, storing the good dishes, staging the platters, and hiding the small appliances. Open layouts put the whole kitchen on display and erased that in-between room. But the everyday clutter and the entertaining gear now compete for the same shelves. Lacking it, the toaster, the blender, and the coffee machine crowd the counter in a permanent row. The good plates you use twice a year take up cabinet space you need every day. When guests arrive, the serving dishes get staged right on the island. Tuck all of that behind a butler's pantry, and the whole scene calms down. The small appliances live on its counter, off your main surfaces for good. The platters wait there, already staged. Your guests see a calm, beautiful room and never the work behind it. Far from a luxury few will use, this is exactly what wins over anyone who loves to host. Storage, function, and a kitchen made for gathering. Near the dining room, lining a short wall with cabinets and a counter creates a true butler's pantry. Tight on space, even a tall cabinet with a pull-out counter hides the appliances. Feature 9. The Parcel Cubby. Older homes often had a small, clever hatch built into an outside wall used in its day for milk, bread, and the occasional parcel left at the door. At first glance, it is just a little insulated door, but it let things be delivered straight inside, safe and out of sight. Home delivery faded for a while, and the little door disappeared from new homes. But almost everything arrives at your door now, and the modern home has nowhere safe to put any of it. Those boxes pile up on the porch in plain view of the street, announcing that nobody is home. A package sits in the rain and the contents are ruined. You come back to an empty doorstep and a delivery photo of a box that is no longer there. A simple delivery becomes a low, constant worry every time you leave. Picture that same idea today, and the worry would end at the wall. A delivery drops into a small insulated compartment, the outer door locking behind it, ready to collect from inside. Groceries stay cool, boxes stay dry, nothing left on the porch to tempt a passing stranger. It is easy to see why this idea is drawing fresh interest. To anyone walking through, it would read not as an odd little door, but as security and convenience. Building or renovating a through-wall delivery box with a locking outer door is simpler than most think, and a few makers are already reviving the idea. Short of that, a lockable parcel box by the entry does much the same. Feature 10. The Cold Larder. The cold larder answered a problem older homes solved without electricity. A vent to the outside, a thick stone shelf, and a tin-lined drawer kept its inside cool all year. Larger refrigerators swallowed every job, and the larder was quietly forgotten. But a refrigerator dries out and chills everything the same way, when many foods keep far better in a cool, airy, dim space. The bread hardens in the cold air. The tomatoes lose their flavor on the chilled shelf. The onions and potatoes sweat and sprout in the warmth of the open kitchen. Half of it spoils before you reach it. Set it back in place, and every food finds its right conditions. The stone shelf stays cool against your hand. The vented air keeps the space dry and fresh. A tin-lined drawer holds potatoes and onions in the dark. Bread holds its crust. An appraiser would call this a talking point, never a curiosity. It speaks of resourcefulness and a kitchen that works with nature instead of against it. An outside wall lets a vented larder cupboard with a stone shelf bring the whole idea back. Without one, a cool shaded cabinet away from the oven does much of the same. Feature 11. The Freestanding Furniture Piece. The freestanding piece was once the beating heart of an unfitted kitchen. A tall dresser or a furniture-style island carried real storage and real personality at the same time. Fitted kitchens became the standard and turned every surface into one long run of matching cabinets. But a wall of identical doors feels more like a showroom than a home. The kitchen reads as one flat, uniform plane. There is nothing for the eye to land on. No warmth. No sign that a person chose anything at all. And that uniform look ages fast. A whole matching wall falling out of style at once. Drop one freestanding piece into the room, and the monotony breaks beautifully. A tall, painted dresser holds your everyday dishes behind glass. A worn wooden island gives you a prep surface with history in its grain. The kitchen suddenly has a center and a soul. Whoever tours the home remembers this. Never a wall of matching doors. Character, flexibility, and a kitchen with a story. A vintage hutch refinished to suit your space brings instant warmth. A furniture-style island on legs, open underneath, lightens a heavy room. Feature 12. The deep window over the sink. The deep window over the sink was a thoughtful gift in older kitchens. Its deep sill turned the dullest chore into the nicest moment of the day. Thinner outside walls and windows shrunk to fit tight cabinet runs took that generous sill away. But a shallow window gives you nothing to set down and very little light to enjoy. You end up standing at the sink facing a thin strip of glass. The morning sun barely reaches the basin. The one task you do most often happens in the dullest corner of the room. Deep in that window, and the whole feeling changes. Light floods across the counter. A row of herbs lines the sill, green and alive within arm's reach. You glance up at the garden while you rinse a cup. The chore becomes a small daily pause instead of a wall to stare at. To anyone at the sink, this is never an ordinary window. It is light, life, and a kitchen connected to the world outside. In a renovation, deepening the sill or widening the window above the sink pays you back every day. Short of that, a simple shelf across an existing window holds herbs and catches the light. Which of these would you bring back into your kitchen? The value of a kitchen is not only about what is new, it is about what works, what lasts, and what lets you enjoy your home for years to come. Many of these may take you back to a kitchen you knew long ago. They were never flaws, only set aside in the name of looking modern. The best kitchens are simply borrowing from the past once again.